My name is Krista Sturgeon. I'm originally from Frankfort, Kentucky. I've just been in Massachusetts now a little bit over a year. I still don't know my way around. I still don't know how to pronounce the names of towns. Still get stuck on that one quite a bit. The way I got out of Kentucky was through academics. I put a lot of pressure on myself. That sounds surprising to hear. The way out was my parents said if I did well in school and did a lot of extracurricular activities, any school I got into, I could go to. Well, I did that and I chose to go to NYU. And I majored in film at NYU and graduated. I went from being a big fish in a small pond to being a little tiny itty-bitty fish in a big huge pond, which ended up causing problems. 4 years after graduating from NYU, I came down with the disease anorexia. I unfortunately spent 20 years of my life with anorexia. And when you go that long with anorexia, you don't come out of it unscathed, unfortunately. It does leave behind quite a trail of chronic illnesses. And I'll share some of those with you tonight. I won't go into all of them because they're really too numerous to mention and could be triggering. I'll start off with the first one being osteoporosis. I was diagnosed with anorexia when I was 22 years old. And about 4 years after that, my first bone density scan was done. I was told that I had the bones of a 78-year-old woman. And they gave me osteoporosis drugs. After osteoporosis drugs, none of them helped. Bones kept getting worse. So anytime I would fall, I would break something. So it just so happened that I slipped on my family's hardwood floor and I shattered my right femur. So that's why I have this lovely cane here with me, is that I now have a 6-inch plate where my femur should be with 4 pins and 2 screws. And I have to go to a pain clinic once a month to get opioid painkillers to make it bearable to live and walk. Second point I was going to bring up is hypothyroidism. And what that means is my thyroid doesn't function like it should. For that, I just take pills, and I constantly have to have my thyroid levels checked to make sure that it's within range. If it's not, I become sluggish, sleepy, don't have the energy to do anything. Next, I now have a compromised immune system. I have to go once a month for what they call an IVIG infusion that takes anywhere from 4 to 6 hours at an oncologist/hematologist office. That is there to help build my white cell count so that I don't get sick. Say you got a cold. You guys will probably have a cold for like maybe 3 to 5 days. If I get a cold, I have a cold for a week and a half. So it really sets me back if I get sick. So I have to be very careful washing my hands, pearling my whole body so that I don't get sick. And the last one that I want to talk about is probably the scariest one, and the one that you probably wouldn't think the most about, is that I had Parkinson's. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's at the age of 35. Early onset Parkinson's, and luckily, I guess you could say, at the age of 44, I was a candidate for brain surgery. I had brain surgery when I was 44, and to implant a deep brain stimulator in my head. They drilled 2 holes in my head, and they connected it deep down in the base of my brain, and they ran it out of my head. I don't think you can see the scar here anymore because my hair is longer. Down to a battery that sits right here that they can program to keep my tremors from acting up. And I had dyskinesia of the neck. My neck used to sit like this. But thank God, the stimulator, that no longer happens. Lastly, on the medical front, I take 21 different drugs a day to get by. And so my home is like a little pharmacy, you could say. Before I go on, I'm just going to let you know that tonight's going to be a little bit of interactive thing going on. It's not just going to be me talking all the time, it's going to be you talking back to me as well. I shouldn't technically, if you look at the stats that you have on your report there as well, and if you look at the other stats, after having anorexia for 20 years, I should not really be here. I should be dead. I did almost die twice. 2 times I almost died. And if you listen to the statistics, I should not be standing here right now. But I feel like somebody up there told me that there was some reason that they saved me, and it was to do stuff like this. To spread the word, get it out there, and help other people, and that's why I'm still standing. Tonight, you won't hear me quote a lot of stats. I mean, you guys had a great job with the board over there. You have them all. I don't like stats for 2 reasons. One of them being that had I known the stats before, I think I would have been very discouraged with my recovery. Just simply knowing the stats that I know now, I would have probably wanted to give up. Knowing that they were so stacked against me, I probably would have wanted to throw in the towel. The second reason being that stats can be used any way you want to use them. You can find a stat for anything. For instance, I could probably look in some journal somewhere to tell me that the sky is red. There's probably a study out there that says the sky is red. We all know it's blue, but you can find a study somewhere that'll say the sky is red. So that's why when I speak, I tend not to rely too much on statistics, but more self-knowledge and what I've seen with my own eyes. The main reason that I come to you tonight is to explain that everyone can get an eating disorder. It is not just a straight, white, teenage, female disorder. It affects everyone. It is an equal opportunity destroyer. That meaning it does not care. It does not care if you're straight, gay, bi, transgender, homosexual, non-gender conforming. It doesn't care. It doesn't care how much money you have. It doesn't care what religion you are. It will get you if you let it. If you open up that vault, it will get you. So that being said, tonight, I don't like labels, but for tonight's purposes, I will put a label on myself. I am a queer, non-gender conforming person. And I'm here to focus on the LGBTQ community. and eating disorders. Society and the medical profession are just now realizing that this population gets eating disorders. We've been getting them for decades, but they're just now realizing that we get them. And this is where I'm going to start asking questions for you guys. And maybe you can answer them, maybe you won't. Why do you think all of a sudden that the medical community and society is deciding that that group of people can get eating disorders? Anybody have any ideas why they might be just waking up to this idea? Just shout them out if you have any ideas. Don't be shy.
Because the LGBT community is being recognized more in general?
Very good. That is a very good answer, and that's true. That is one good answer for you. Anybody else with any ideas? Because that's a perfect answer. That's very true. I'll
Well, I feel like eating disorders are like they're just more popular, like especially like amongst our generation in general. So I feel like just in general, there's more research being done. So in that way, like there's more like being like shine on that group of people.
Absolutely. Very good point. Very good. Those are two very good points. And to speak to your point that you made, there are more, like you said, more and more gay. There are more and more gay and lesbian celebrities with eating disorders coming forward now. For instance, Portia de Rossi, Ellen DeGeneres' wife, had anorexia and bulimia. She's written a book about it. So there is people coming forward, more and more LGBTQ people coming forward. Two other examples, Elton John and Greg Louganis. Both of them have come forward being popular people in the LGBTQ community with eating disorders. And to speak to your point about it's your generation, that was absolutely going to be one of my points. Your generation is going to be the saving grace of the LGBTQ community. Your generation and the generation that's going to come after you, because you all are setting the standard that you're blurring the lines. You are seeing people more as humans than you're seeing them as, oh, you're white, you're black, you're gay, you're straight, you're this, you're that. No, you're seeing people as human beings rather than labels. And that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful change that is going on. And that's going to make tremendous strides, not just in eating disorder research, but in humanity in general. The fact that you can see beyond lines and labels and just see people as humans. And does anyone have any other guesses? I've got one more that is not like the greatest reason for recognizing this community, but it's a reason. Any more ideas as to why this community is now getting recognized? No? No. Money. Money. Right now, there are very few, there are very few eating disorder treatment centers that are equipped to treat LGBTQ patients. They don't know, some of the stressors are exactly the same for LGBTQ people as they are for the heterosexual population. But there are different stressors and triggers that have to be focused upon. I can think of maybe 3 eating disorder treatment centers that right now are ready to go and deal with LGBTQ patients one of them being Veritas Collaborative, another one being Dr. G's clinic in Denver, and there's one in Alabama that are equipped to deal with that community right now. But it's money. They know now, if they can get in now on the ground floor really quick, they can grab that money. Because the eating disorder treatment centers are not cheap. You think probably the average treatment center is about $60,000 a month. And usually they keep you for anywhere from 2 to 3 months, usually. So things aren't cheap. Although Obama, before he left the White House, did sign the 21st Century Care Act, which meant that eating disorders or any mental illness, making insurance companies pay up when it came to eating disorders. Now, what will happen to it now that Trump is in office, I don't know. But as of right now, that is still in place. What is my job? Why am I here speaking about this? I'm here to educate. I'm here to educate the treatment centers, I'm here to educate the hotlines, and I'm here to educate the peer support groups. To educate them about the different triggers and stressors, and to let them know how to deal with the LGBTQ community, and give them and provide them the services that they need. That's sort of like the niche that I am here to do. That way, when someone comes or calls on a hotline and they happen to be from that community and they happen to have a certain trigger, that person on the other end of the hotline will know how to deal with that stressor. Whereas right now, they don't necessarily know how to deal with that. And I feel that that is part of my obligation, as being part of that community, is to help educate people that are dealing with people in crisis, or just people in general that want to learn and just don't know. And that way, they can have a positive experience when they deal with these things. And like I said before, of course, everybody is going to have some of the same stressors, such as the drive for perfection. When you have an eating disorder, that's one of the big stressors or big triggers, is that drive for perfection. Another one is going to be a self-imposed uber high goal setting. That's another thing that people with anorexia, bulimia, any eating disorder has. You set your goals so high that you're constantly chasing them and you just get out of control, and to the point where the only thing that you can control is your eating. And the last thing, which usually happens in younger patients, but it can happen in any patient, is the fact of abuse. Be it sexual abuse, physical abuse, or psychological abuse. A lot of times when you have younger patients, and I know from my nutritionist, she has a patient that is 7 years old right now with anorexia, that it tends to be in nature with younger patients that it's abuse issues, and the only thing that they can control when they're that young, and that is so sad, being that young with anorexia, is the food intake is the only thing that they can control. And that's just beyond sad. But some of the different triggers and stressors that you have when you're part of the LGBTQ community, one of them is fear of coming out as gay or coming out as trans, either one. You can either have the fear of actually doing it, or after you're doing it, the ramifications. And it's like the world of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen to you after you come out. You might be accepted, or you could be totally shunned, or even worse, you could face physical harm. And that right there could spiral you out into disordered eating or an eating disorder. Another one is bullying, even though that could be a absolute across the board issue as well with any community, but especially the LGBTQ community. I cannot imagine. I did not go through this, and I did not go through coming out. I was outed, so I never had to deal with that. But bullying, it can be cyberbullying or face-to-face bullying, either one. But just imagine going to school every day and being taunted and relentlessly taunted, either in person or on your Facebook account or your Instagram account. How horrible that would be, and what a loss of control you would feel. And once again, the one thing you can control is what you put in your mouth or what you don't put in your mouth. And lastly, actual gay or trans bashing. And this happens, it happens in both the gay world and the trans world. But just last night I heard this statistic that so far this year, 7 trans people have been killed this year. Just for the mere fact that they were trans. And I think they were all people of color. I'm not positive on that, but I think that is true, that they were all people of color. And it's just not acceptable. But just imagine living the life of a trans person of color, the fear that you must fear every day that you walk out your front door. And if that's not enough stress to put on you to have some sort of disordered eating or some kind of mental health issue, I cannot imagine what would be, if that would not be enough to fear for your life every moment of every day. I'm almost done, so it's almost time for questions, but I just have a few statistics here since I don't like them that much. The basic pecking order as it goes for eating disorders, being the first one being the one that is most likely to have an eating disorder, down to the last one who's going to have an eating disorder. Transgender people are number 1 on the list. Cis female, cis meaning assigned female at birth. Then gay men, gay and bisexual men, then lesbians, and then cis males, assigned male at birth. Let's see here. Trans youth are 4 times more likely to be reported of having eating disorder than their heterosexual counterparts. That comes as no surprise. It shouldn't. Also, a lot of the reason transgender youth or transgender people in general have eating disorders is that, say you're going from female to male. Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is lose your hips and lose your breasts. Well, how are you going to do that? You're going to starve yourself to lose that adipose tissue that's there and there. If you're not taking hormones, if you're too young or you're scared to go through your parents to ask for them and you're young, that's the way you're going to do it. You're going to starve yourself on the outside to fit the way you feel inside. And that's why it's such a big, big problem within the trans community. And also for the androgynous female gay community as well has the same issues. And lastly, the last statistic I have, of all the men that have eating disorders, 50% of them are gay males. So that makes up quite a bit, considering I don't know the exact statistic of how many gay males there are in the U.S., but if 50% of the males that have eating disorders are gay, we're talking about quite a hefty load of gay men having eating disorders. And once again, with them, it's either a hyper masculine wanting look, or it's more of a metrosexual wanting look. So it's all about look, and once again, all of that stems back to social media, and social media plays a way too big a part in our culture, I believe. As far as, well, I'll throw out this one here. As far as lesbians go, there is not a single study done on lesbians alone and eating disorders. They lump in lesbian and bisexual women, which to me absolutely skews the data, because, I mean, there's nothing wrong with bisexual women whatsoever, but it puts in a group that just should not be put in together for research sake. There was a study that was started at the University of West London that did do just lesbians, but it was stopped due to lack of interest and lack of material. So as of this date, I do not know of a single study that was done with just lesbians. And that's all I have to present tonight. At this point in time, I will take any questions you have to ask about my life with an eating disorder, or any questions that you might have to ask about eating disorders in general that I might be able to answer. So feel free, I mean, I'm fair game. I wrote a book about my life and how I got over my eating disorder, what I did, my struggle. So it's an open book. So it's free game. Anybody? Yeah.
Actually, I have a question. You mentioned how there are a lot of organizations that are getting into helping the LGBTQ community for money. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think I mean, obviously it's good that they're helping, but also, are they coming at it from the right way, you know?
Right. I have mixed feelings, to be honest with you. I'm glad that they're getting into the game, and I think some of them are very sincere. I really do. There are quite a few of them that are very sincere, but I know that there are some of them that are just out there to make money, and that's very disheartening. I like it because the people are going to get help, but at the same time, I don't like it because I feel that they're being taken advantage of. So it's sort of like, yes, I like it for some reasons, and there are some very good treatment centers that have been doing it for quite a while now, and they've never been noticed to the fact that they've been doing it, and they're doing it for the right reasons. But I know as the onslaught comes, it's going to be done sheerly for the money and for the wrong reasons, but at least people will be hopefully getting the right help. Thank you for asking that question. Yes?
If the support for the LGBTQ community is just now coming up, do you feel as though when you were going through recovery that you had enough support?
I'll answer that directly. I did not. I'm 47 years old. I was diagnosed at 22. That was back in 1992, I guess it was. And I was actually shunned by the lesbian community. because they felt that if I had anorexia, I must have been trying to fit in, and this is their words, not mine, into the heteronormative society, the patriarchal norm. And I was like, that's a bunch of bull crap. I'm like, no, I have anorexia. I actually fit into that androgynous lesbian category when I was going through that. I wanted to lose the hips and the breasts and stuff like that. That was more of my problem then. But no, they were like, you've got anorexia, you're dealing with like men crap and we're not gonna deal with you. So no, I didn't. And that's probably why I had anorexia for 20 years instead of like, most people now can get help and be done with it in less than 5, you know, but I had it for 20, and that's probably why.
During your journey, was it that you were trying to receive help multiple times and you did not feel as though you were welcome into the community?
I was bounced in, after I graduated from NYU, I moved to San Francisco. And I was bounced in from psych ward to medical hospital, from medical hospital to psych hospital, different psych hospital, medical hospital, different psych hospital, medical hospital, nursing home, told I was going to die and I needed to move back home to Kentucky to be with my parents to die. Moved back to Kentucky, almost died. Bounced out of psych hospital to medical hospital, psych hospital, same thing. And it just went on for years and years and years and years. And they just didn't know what to do with me. Nobody knew what to do with me. Until one day, I said to myself, I'm like, it was May 7th, I said to myself, I got myself into this problem, evidently, I'm going to be the one that's going to have to get myself out of this problem. And that's how I started my recovery.
So, this is a broad question, I guess, but, so, like, as people wanting to offer support for anyone going through the disorder, like, learning the triggers and how to deal with the triggers for the LGBTQ community, what would be your advice for making sure that a person in the LGBTQ community gets the support and the appropriate help for the triggers that they need, both like from their friends and people in the community, and ourselves, and then finding professional help?
Okay, here's what I personally would do if it were me. I would, number one, if I was a friend of somebody that was in the LGBTQ community that had an eating disorder or whatever, I would probably go to a PFLAG meeting. Actually, if I was helping someone that had an eating disorder that was in the LGBTQ, do you know what PFLAG is, or should I explain that? Okay, it's parents and friends of lesbian and gays, and they have them all over the place. You can look them up. Some even have them on campuses at different colleges, where you can go and number one, you can learn the terminology. That's the first place you need to start, is just learning the proper terminology to use. And secondly, to find them the right therapist. That is what I'm helping and with myself right now, is going through and finding the therapists that say they're trans or LGBT friendly and asking them certain questions to make sure they are legitimately LGBTQ friendly. And it's doing research. It's basically, it is like doing a big research project as finding somebody in the LGBTQ community, like a therapist. You have to like vet them like you would vet somebody for like your cabinet in the White House, sort of, to make sure that this person is legitimately going to treat your friend the right way. But as far as you helping somebody yourself in the LGBTQ community, is like maybe go to a PFLAG meeting with them, and or if there's like a group on campus. I don't know if you all have any groups here on campus with the LGBTQ community. Go to like a meeting there and with them, and sort of like learn the terminology, learn what's going on, and let them come out and tell you what their problems are. You know, they'll open up to you and let you know what their stressors are. And just let them know that you're a safe person. That, you know, I'm a safe person. You can count on me and confide in me. I'm not a judgmental person. And we can work together. That sort of thing. That's what I would do.
So I know there are obviously like a lot of concerns like regarding the new like administration in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the specific ones that like are of concern specifically to like the LGBTQ community?
With eating disorders right now, so far, the 21st Century Care Act is still intact. President Trump, it's hard for me to say, has not touched that one yet. Now, as far as just the LGBTQ community in general, he has left it up, he's taken away the rights of that community in general as far as the federal government goes, and left it up to state rights now. So he's on his way to digging into rights of LGBTQ people in general, and it's not looking good. But as far as the eating disorder goes and LGBTQ community, he has not touched it yet. So that's where that stands at this point in time. Anybody else? Anything in general? I can talk about other than just LGBTQ stuff. I can talk about just eating.
I guess, so we're a sorority, and one of our philanthropies is ANAD.
Mm-hmm.
And this week we've done like a handful of things to, you know, spread awareness on campus, and we have like this table set up. But like, what kinds of things do you think are the most impactful? Is like spreading this kind of awareness? Do you think that's helpful, or I don't know, what kinds of advice you have for us as like a sorority? Like, what kinds of things we can do? I don't know, it's broad, but.
Oh, I think what you guys are doing this week is incredible. I don't think, I'm trying to think, when I think of sororities, and I know this is terrible, I know this is terrible, I'm from the South, so when I think of sororities, you know what comes to mind, right? I don't even need to say it, but I think what you guys, I've been following you on your Facebook page this whole entire week, and I did my research before I came. I did my research on Brandeis before I even came here. I think everything that you guys have done this week has been absolutely incredible. And I'm not just saying that, I mean that. I looked at your board over there, the signatures that you guys got, and if you could just like keep that momentum going past just this week, it would be my only advice. And I have no criticisms because you all are stepping up to the plate. I mean, I know that that's one of your organizations that you work with in general, and I think it's great. I think it's incredible, and if you can keep the momentum going throughout the school year, and even when school is out, just keep it up and keep the focus on it. And if you see somebody that you think might have an eating disorder, now that you all are educated already in it from doing the research, if you see somebody that might have a problem, you know, steer them in the right direction as to where they need to go. That would be my only suggestion to you all, is if you see somebody that you think might be struggling, try to get them help in a very, like, not a confrontational way, but in a helpful way. I think what you guys do is great.
First, thank you, and you've all been working closely since you're going in that direction. But what I wanted to ask was, if you have someone, often people who might be struggling don't want to recognize that they are struggling, and I think that it's really difficult to go to somebody, especially if you're really close to them, and say, I think that there's a problem here. So how I think how do you do that sounds like a silly question, but how do you go about it when someone who you are really close to and they don't want to realize that you don't want to be the person that forces them to realize that when they don't want to?
It's very, very difficult, and you're walking on, like, glass. It's like walking, like, tenderly as you can, because you don't want to piss them off, number one, because they'll just get worse, and number two, they're your friend and you want to get them help, because you don't want to see them end up like someone like me, and it's sad, because you do want to help them so bad. And the best thing that you could do here's what I would do. If I had a friend, and I was like 99% sure that they had an eating disorder, I would probably go out for coffee with them, just take them out for coffee. It would just be a one-on-one thing. I'd say, what's your name, by the way? Ricky?
Yeah.
I'd be like, Ricky, you know, I've been sort of concerned about some behaviors that I've seen, and, you know, you're a really good friend of mine, and I'd hate to see anything happen to you. Do you think we could talk about them, or do you think that would be appropriate? And then I'd wait for their response, and I think if they're a good friend of yours, they'd probably say, you know, what's going on? And I'd be like, well, I don't know how much you know about eating disorders, but I've seen some signs that, actually, if I were you, I'd be like, well, you know that Anna is one of my philanthropic organizations, and I've just seen some signs that sort of been tipping me off that you might have a problem. And then I would see what their reaction was, whether it was hostile or whether it was like questioning. If it was questioning, I'd go along, just play along with how it went. If it was hostile, I'd be like, you know, please don't take it the wrong way. I'm just trying to help. And that's probably how the conversation would go if it were me. I would try to steer around telling them that they had an eating disorder, but go around it and say, like, Anna is one of our sponsored class 40. I think I might have seen some telltale signs. You know, what's going on with your life right now? You know, what's going on with you that might make me think this, or something like that. You know, sort of play around it, but yet slowly get to the point, but not like directly to the point. And take it slow and easy. But I would, if I saw somebody that I thought had an eating disorder, I would definitely somehow confront them. Because who knows, you could be saving their life. You could be saving them years of misery that could be squashed within like a few months of counsel. So that's what I would do. That's it?
Thank you so much.
Oh, well, you're welcome. You are all welcome. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right. It's a wrap.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this.
Oh, you're welcome.